Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. So now, guys, I had intended to make this a live stream video, but for reasons of logistics, I was not able to. So rather than abandon it altogether, I have decided to make a video out of it instead. So it's going to be a standalone video, and essentially, it's speaking to the Nigerian presidential space, and especially the relationship between the Labour Party, which is arrow-headed, the flag bearer, as you know, Peter Obi, and the NNPP, the arrowhead being Kwakwanso. So without rather further ado, let me just share this screen with you as we read through the latest development in that relationship. So let me bring up the screen and then we have a read through and then we see what we're making of this somewhat convoluted relationship between Kwakwanso and Peter Obi. So let me scroll to the top. Let me scroll to the top. So to scroll to the top, only to land on this. 2023, I can't be running mate to anyone, Kwakwanso. So a lot of speculation about what the relationship is and where it is headed. We all know that there are talks between the Kwakwanso movement and the Peter Obi space, and what those rather talks would bring out is something that we were all waiting in keen anticipation of. So at last, the arrowhead, at least of the NNPP space, he comes out to speak on that ongoing talks and possible relationship or not. 2023, I can't be running mate to anyone, Kwakwanso. So now, from the horse's mouth, let's see what the man from Kano has to say. Rabiu Kwakwanso, the presidential candidate of the new Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, on Saturday, said accepting to be running mate to any presidential candidate would lead to the collapse of NNPP. Mr. Kwakwanso, a former governor of Kano State, who was in Gombe State to inaugurate the state office of NNPP and to meet with elected members of the party, stated this in an interview with newsmen. He said his political profile built over the years and his wealth of experience, having served in various capacities in the country, had helped in bringing NMPP to the limelight within a short time. He stated that with the fame the NMPP had achieved within the short time, anything short of his presidency under the party would mean the collapse of NNPP. So let's pause there for a moment just to examine that, especially last paragraph. So he stated that with the fame the NNPP had achieved within the short time, anything short of his presidency under the party would mean the collapse of NNPP. So now the fame that NNPP has achieved within a short period of time, what are we attributing that to? So let's dig into that a little bit. So Kwakwanso is a known quantity within Kano State and to some extent the northern parts, at least within the parameters of Kano State. So it's a known quantity. And there's a movement called the Kwakwansia movement, which he arrowheads, and it's a Talakawa movement. So the Talakawas, as you know, within the northern space, they're the poor and the downtrodden. So the poor and the downtrodden within the northern space of Nigeria, they see. Let me actually bring myself to the fore for a moment, and then I'll go back to. So the Talakawas and the poor within the northern space of Nigeria, they see Kwakwanso as their champion. And sorry, let me correct that. The Talakawas and the downtrodden within certain parts of the Kano and its environs, they see Kwakwanso as their champion. So they've always seen this. So, and that has been traditional for going back 2-3 decades. So there is nothing new in Kwakwanso and his relationship with these people. So what is new to Kwakwanso and his relationship with these people is the add-on that Peter Obi has added on with his chattering classes supporters. So his newfound support, a lot of people may adduce to actually Peter Obi's somewhat romance with him. So that's really where I wanted to take that. So let me bring the screen back on board. So let me bring the screen or the article rather back on board. So let me bring the article back on board and we continue to read it. He stated that with the fame the NNPP had achieved within the short time, anything short of his presidency under the party would mean the collapse of NNPP. So there it is right there. So I'm not quite sure that that is sufficient enough of a statement as a standalone, and I'm not even sure what the truth of that statement is, because his newfound fame, especially within the southern part, is essentially not essentially, is totally down to his relationship with Peter Obi. But let's just continue. Mr. Kwakwanso confirms that his party had been in talks with the Labour Party for possible merger, but the issue that hindered progress was the issue of who will become the presidential candidate. From the discussion with Labour Party, the main issue was who becomes the president if the parties merge. At the end of the day, some of our representatives thought that there should be a criteria in terms of age, qualification, offices held, performance, and so on. So let's pause there for a moment. So this is politics now in its most subtle. At the end of the day, some of our representatives thought that there should be a criteria in terms of age. So who has the seniority in age, Kwakwanso? Qualification, who has the seniority in terms of qualification, Kwakwanso? Offices held, who has the seniority in offices held, Kwakwanso? Kwakwanso two-term governor of a leading state within Nigeria, because if you go outside of Lagos, the only other place you go to in terms of the volume of people, the size of the space, and the size of its economy is probably Kano State. So he's held two terms in the office of one of the most premier states in Nigeria. He's been a minister of defense in addition to that under the Obasanjo regime. He's a member of parliament. He's a senator. And Peter Obi, of course, he's coming solely of the credentials of being Anambra State governor. So you can see how they are advantaging themselves there. At the end of the day, some of our representatives thought that there should be a criteria in terms of age where Kwakwanso has seniority, qualification where Kwakwanso has seniority, offices held where Kwakwanso has seniority, and performance. So that performance then is ambiguous. So that's subject to debate. Did Peter Obi perform better as the Anambra State governor, or did Kwakwanso perform better in terms of the various portfolios that he has held? So at the end of the day, some of the representatives thought there should be a criteria in terms of age, qualification, offices held, performance, and so on. Of course, the other side wouldn't want that. Most of the people from there believe that the presidency should go there, that is the southeast. So that tells you, and let me highlight this by the way, so you know that I'm reading it verbatim. So that tells you, pardon me, let me have a sip of water. So that tells you already that Kwakwanso sees Peter Obi as little more than a Southeastern champion. So that's the highlighted paragraph. And I'll copy, by the way, the link to the article and put it in the comment section. Of course, the other side wouldn't want that. So all of the criteria that advantages him, of course, he's saying the other side wouldn't want that. And why would they? Of course, the other side wouldn't want that. most of the people from there believe that presidency has to go there, to Southeast. If now I decide to be vice presidential candidate to anybody in this country, NMPP would collapse because the party is based on what we have built in the last 30 years. So that again hinting to its longevity within politics as contrast to somewhat the Obi naivety in politics. And Peter Obi, by the way, not naive in politics, but relative to um, Kwakwanso's deep and long history in politics is hinting to somewhat a naivety of Peter Obi. If now I decide to be vice presidential candidate to any, if now I decide to be vice presidential candidate to anybody in this country, NMPP would collapse because the party is based on what we have built in the last 30 years. I have served for 17 years as a civil servant. We are talking of 47 years of various serious hard work. That is what is really holding NMPP now. So he said, so that is him now just vaunting his seniority and presenting his credentials to match against that of Peter Obi's. The national leader of the NMPP said he was not against presidency going to any part of the country, but it must be done based on strategy, political calculation, and equation. According to him, the Southeast are good in business and are well talented, but they should learn politics. In politics, they are at the bottom line. So there it is right there. And pardon me, but those are not my words. And I'm highlighting this again and again. I will post the link in the comment section for you to have a read of it independently. Those are not my words. Those are the words of Kwakwanso. According to him, the Southeast are good in business, which is what a lot of people say. That's the cliche about the Southeast, and are well talented, but they should learn politics. In politics, they are at the bottom line, and that is what the Fulani man from Kano State is saying about the Southeasterners. He stated that the zone had lost out on the presidential and vice presidential candidates of both the All Progressives Congress APC and the People's Democratic Party PDP, but had a chance with NNPP. So that's a pointed statement as well. So he's stating that you've lost out in the that by you, I mean the Southeast, the Southeast has lost out in the two premier slots in both major parties, but there's still a secondary slot that is within his own party, and is inviting them to occupy that space. So he stated that the zone had lost out on the presidential and vice presidential candidates of both the All Progressives Congress APC and the People's Democratic Party PDP, but had a chance with the NNPP. So it's quite clear what this guy is saying. You don't even need to be clever to understand what is being said here. He stated that those saying, even if my friend Peter B wants to accept vice presidential candidate, some people in the Southeast would not accept. That is not strategic. He said Bola Tinubu was strategic to have supported the APC in 2015, and today he is the presidential candidate of the APC. Mr. Kwakwanso said the best option for the Southeast was for this zone to partner with NNPP. This is a golden opportunity. If they lose it, it will be a disaster. So that tells you that the window for presidential race completely closed as far as his relationship that is with Peter B. The window for presidential race completely closed, but the vice presidential slot is there for him to take if he wishes. Mr. Kwak also said the best option for the Southeast was for the zone to partner with the NMPP. This is a golden opportunity. If they lose it, it will be a disaster. On the choice of his running mate, Mr. Kwakwanso said, "We have options in the NNPP in the South to pick a good vice president, and one of them is the Labour Party man you are talking about. On the chances of NNPP in the 2023 elections, Mr. Kwakwanso, not Mr., but because it doesn't say Mr., on the chances of the NNPP in the 2023 election, Kwakwanso said his party had the structure, organization, and population across the country to contest and win elections. He said if elected president in 2023, his vision would be to create opportunities for the youth of Nigeria to get employed, achieve their dreams, and be empowered educationally and economically." So there it is right there. So as I said, even repeating again, I will be posting the link to this so you can have a read of it yourself. So that is Kwakwanso now, categorically and without equivocation, dismissing any thought, almost irritated. You can sense some irritation in that piece. So that is Kwakwanso categorically dismissing out of hand any possibility of him running as a running mate to Peter Obi. I mean, the audacity of that statement even seems to irk him somewhat. But there it is right there. So what are you making of that? Kwakwanso now closes the door on being a running mate to Peter Obi, but he remains open. He leaves remain open rather the door for Peter Obi to be his running mate. But the Peter Obi movement, of course, would not countenance that. So that essentially tells us that that place is open. What am I saying? That essentially tells us that that place is closed. You know, that those talks have collapsed. That is the end of it. There is not going to be an Kwakwanso Peter Obi alliance, but then the window for substitution for you to replace the running mate you submitted to INEC, that closes on the 17th of July. So that's roughly what is that 10 days and a bit from now. So tick tock, tick tock. If the talks with Kwakwanso has failed, then Kwakwanso needs to look elsewhere for his running mates and likewise Peter Obi, because they still have to be able to have the relationship with the person, make the person known to their audience, and sell them to the Nigerian space to test the tempo of the space before they substitute. So the time is running out now for these talks. So is it now time for them to abandon the talks and then just go their separate ways? Come share thoughts about all this with me in the comment section. So I'll leave it here. Carry the conversation on within the comment section, but here I say peace.